Hello and welcome back to DK World Tours. Now we will be doing a continuing flight on to Chicago Midway, another 2 hours and 12 minutes. Again, we're flying with a full load of passengers, taking a full load of fuel as well. With the extra performance we have, there's no reason not to. And this is the 20s and gas is cheap. 30s, gas is cheap, I assume. Who knows? Alright, let's go. So there were some Ford Trimotors that were made in sleeper configurations to allow sleeping on the flight, but I have to wonder how much sleep anyone could get at that time in a washboard airplane like this.
Victor Hotel, Uniform Sierra X-ray altimeter 30.36 wind 147 at tree. West departure approved.
Alright, let's go.
Runway 9er left.
Cleared for takeoff runway 9er, left Uniform Sierra X-ray.
We'll be flying our airspeed by feel for a bit here. Oh, it's wanting to go right. It's wanting to go right. Full left on the rudder. I did not get on it early enough. That's the tail dragger for you. Shame on me. Alright, our initial course will be 271.
Endeavour Flight 275, turn next taxiway.
A little bit more. Okay. Ish. Initial pitch, bring it down to 9. Yeah, it'll give our airspeed a little bit of a chance to climb back in. 2,000 feet in climbing. Probably once we get to 5,000, we'll, or maybe even 4,000, we'll drop it to a 0 degree pitch and then see how we do. Yeah, our minimum safe altitudes are all not showing up on my charts right now, but it looks very flat. So 4,000 is a good point at which to level off for the time being. See if we can stay below the clouds. Oh, 0.
Uniform Sierra X-ray traffic is 7 o'clock, 2 miles at 1,000 feet generic. Report them in sight.
Uniform Sierra X-ray have the
Don't know how
traffic.
I'm going to see it at the 7 o'clock. Yeah, we're currently dealing with about 20 knots of headwind and a pretty good crosswind, so I'm trying to get us sorted out and on to compensating for that extra wind that we're dealing with right now. Looks like we're staying below the moisture pretty well, not dealing with any icing, so should be a pretty clear, safe flight so far. And now the headwind we're fighting is over 30 knots. So this will be a slow one. Now this flight is a good example of why airspeed is important, apart from just getting to the destination faster. The lower your airspeed, the more headwinds affect your performance. So currently with our true airspeed of 97 knots and a headwind of 30 knots, we're only getting 2/3-ish of the speed we would expect. However, if we were going like 200 miles per hour, we would still be getting, the vast majority of the speed we would be expecting. Our schedule would be less affected by the headwinds. I mean, at this point, a car on the ground could actually be driving on the interstate legally and overtaking us.
Chicago approach altimeter 30.27. Continue as planned.
Finally, we're getting close enough to Chicago to start thinking about arriving. This headwind has drastically slowed me down. Currently at 70 knots ground speed. So it's been a much longer flight than I expected. I was expecting to be closer to 2 hours, and we're at 2.5. Probably going to be 2 hours and 40 some odd minutes before we're on the ground. Oh, actually, 2 hours and 50 some odd minutes it looks like. So one thing I wonder, I know that for certain flights on like flying boats and some of the other long haul flights early on, they did in fact use the stars as part of their navigation. I wonder if these windows in the roof are primarily for as a navigational aid, or so that when you turn, you make sure you don't have the roof blocking your view on approach. Alright, we're going to be heading towards runway 22 left. Should have an 8-knot headwind and a 1-knot crosswind. So very manageable crosswind there.
Victor Hotel, Uniform Sierra X-Ray, is 12 miles northeast, 3,800 feet, with India to land.
Victor Hotel, Uniform Sierra X-Ray Midway Tower. Altimeter tree 0.26 wind 214 at 8. Fly straight in
Sierra X-ray.
Well, that's handy because I was going to go 2-2 left anyway. I was able to get ATC to cooperate with me. So you can see up here we got the Chicago skyline right along the water there. Not lit up for some reason, so it's showing up mostly as shadow.
Southwest 181, contact midway departure on 119.45. Good day. Going to 119.45, Southwest 181.
Alright, despite that high headwind, we still have half a tank of gas left. So it's been a pretty smooth flight. Makes me glad I brought the extra fuel. This leg has been much more straightforward. No significant icing, no particularly bad weather. Nighttime, so less to bother the passengers with random facts about the Ford Trimotor. Not that I need to tell them anything. If they bought a ticket for this ride, you know they already know more than me. Alright, let's take it off with a Sperry. Make the mixtures rich again. Back out a bit of power and start getting ourselves lined up on that runway. A little bit more power than I meant to back out, but we are pretty high up still. Alright, let's get a little bit more lined up and a little bit lower. Speed is still much too high.
Midway Tower Frontier, flight 1369er, heavy ready for IFR departure, runway 13 center. Frontier Flight 1 tree 69er heavy altimeter tree 0.26 wind 214 at 8. Cleared for takeoff runway 1 tree center. Uniform Sierra X-ray wind 214 at 8. Cleared to land runway 22 left.
Clear to land runway 22 left uniform Sierra X-ray.
Another random fact about this airplane, during that time period, they didn't really have VHF radio figured out yet, so they were running in, I think even medium wave, so around the AM frequency range, which is much more susceptible to interference, particularly from ignition systems on the airplane. So in fact, there was a lot of issues about making these engines compatible with the radio systems used on board to deal with the interference. Right, what's our airspeed? Still pretty dang high. Not to mention that the radios were vacuum tube based and fairly heavy. And probably fairly sensitive to vibration, although I don't know that much about vacuum tech. So at this point, we'll probably start wrapping up. Where did that airplane come from? Anyway, we'll start wrapping up this video. We'll probably revisit the Ford Trimotor if anyone has any particular routes that they want to see flown, particularly historically important ones or ones that were unique to the Ford Trimotor. Perhaps I'll try to find the Ford factory routes that were flown, but I think this is one of the main ones. And if not that, then I'll probably... oh yes, landing lights. There we go. I might move on to covering some other aircraft as well. This just happened to be a good starting point. Really don't have that many hours in this plane. Actually, now that I think about it, probably like 2 or 3 before these videos, so very new to this airplane. Should expect a lot better in the DC-6 or the Boeing 247 later on. Alright, we're still high. I'm not trusting the Pappies for this anyway, but we're still high. Down a little bit.
Cleared RNAV runway 22 right approach, southwest tree 44. Cleared for takeoff runway 1 tree center, Delta 89er 25.
Still fairly high on airspeed. Like we gotta watch out for low lines on the pass N here. There we go. Another airplane taking off. Huh. Well, okay, let's get it on the ground. Oh, floated it pretty bad. Well, I didn't let the tricycle gear get too far away from me. At the very least, I'm going to have to revisit this plane to go through a proper cold and dark startup. I don't know why I was having issues earlier. I don't know if I'm missing something, or if I just needed to prime more or less, or maybe I needed to open the throttle more. I imagine the mixtures shouldn't be any leaned out more than they were. Full rich should be the starting... I mean, starting mixtures, you know, you don't have a choke, so I would assume full rich is the only real way to go, but Well, here we are. Stop! Wow, this thing has no brakes. Alright. Okay. Anyway, here we are. 2 hours and 50 minutes later. So that puts us at nearly 8 hours of airtime to go from New York to Chicago. One has to be very happy about the world we are in now then. Alright. Alright, kill our lights. Oh, okay. There we go. Fill fuel. Make sure I'm... Yep. So I was reading those correctly when I was trying to get it started. Magneto's off. Generator off. And that's all of it, so it's now just the battery. Alright, there we go. Once again, thank you very much for flying with DK World Tours. See you again.